Welcome everybody, SBY818 here. You join me today at the beginning of my journey towards that hideous trophy right there that you can see on screen, the Manufacturer Series of 2021. So the series is 10 rounds over 10 weeks, with the best 4 rounds counting towards your overall final score. So the first decision in a manufacturer series is which manufacturer am I going to pick. So some are much more popular than others, despite the balance of power settings. The likes of the Porsche, Mercedes, etc. are easy to drive, others are just plain quicker. But I am not one to shy away from a challenge, so I have gone with, as far as cars go, my one true love. The Alfa Romeo, so 4C, Group 4 and Group 3 cars. Alfa, not a popular choice for a couple of reasons, some of which will probably become apparent over the course of this series of videos, but I've made my choice and I'm not going to shy away from it. So they have got strengths in terms of tyre wear, in particular fuel usage as well. The weakness really is the overall pace. I would have been able to set quicker lap times in other cars, but hopefully I can use the car's relative strengths to my advantage. So to the first race then, the Catalunya circuit, Group 3 cars, 17 laps, and interestingly, and fairly rarely I think for these sorts of races, hard tyres mandatory. So everyone's going to have to use a set of hard tyres at least once, or incur a significant time penalty. And I have my friend and FTRL competitor Lee Cole, who you can see is actually in this race with me, down in number 12 there. I've got him to thank for putting me onto an interesting proposition for this race, which is you can go the whole race without a pit stop, technically. The tyres will last, nobody's going to make it on fuel, but the Alfa is one of the few cars that, if you can do some significant fuel saving, you can make the whole race without stopping for fuel. That will gain me about 35 seconds by not pitting, so that is what I'm going to try and do. We will see how we get on. It's going to be interesting. The hard tyres are going to start to give up towards the end, and obviously we'll have to do, from testing and practice we'll have to do some pretty harsh fuel saving. So the intent is to try and qualify as high up as possible, get out towards the front and hold the pack up as long as I possibly can. So out we go for qualifying, just 5 minutes of qualifying, so only going to be able to get a couple of laps in. So we'll just skip forward in a second to the flying lap. I'm going to fast forward through this, just show you how we get on. So you can see I'm at the head of the pack, nobody to bother me or distract me. I'm just going to go around and set the fastest possible lap time. Just fast forwarding through this, trying to hit every apex, just trying to keep it as smooth and as clean and as fast as possible. This will be the only fast lap I'm doing in this whole race pretty much. And this first flying lap did end up actually being my best qualifying lap. You see I'm just coming out a little bit of a wiggle there onto the start finish straight and coming over the line for a 1:44.2. It's not too bad. You can see people coming in behind me, not quite as fast, and amazingly, to my absolute excitement, that is where it stayed. So pole position, and now of course we've got dreams of grandeur. I'm going to win the whole thing. It's going to be absolutely incredible. But then, yeah, I did remember, you know, that's just qualifying. I've got to now go ahead and win the race. You can see Lee Cole there joining me on the front row as well, so excellent FTRL representation there. So onto the race, 17 laps, as I said, going with the hard tyres, not going to come into the pits at all. And I'm just looking at tweaking the settings here just to make sure tyre wear is as even as possible. It's going to be crucial to get a decent start and make sure nobody beats me into the first corner as well. But I'm exactly where I want to be at the minute. So as I said, the intent is fuel save the tyres, try and hold everybody else up for as long as possible, and then jump past them again when they're in the pits. So here we go. rolling start, which definitely helps if you do end up being at the front. You should be able to get a decent gap. It's a reasonably long straight. You can see me sort of checking behind there just to see where people are. I should be in a good position to get to the first corner without being harassed. Oh, there we go. But wait. We've survived. And not only have we survived, we see an epic bit of poetic justice there, as the guy that just completely punted me off into the gravel has been turned quite casually by Lee Carl. So thanks for that, Lee. Great work all round from the FTRO guys there. So still in first place. You can see I'm already getting hassled by the people behind me. I've got the fuel mixed back towards lean, so it's putting me at a disadvantage, and I'm just getting a bit of a naughty nudge into the corner by the guy in the Ford, and he's got away with it, and he's just going to sneak down the inside and get away. I'm not one to discuss the merits and drawbacks of racing a Ford, especially a Ford GT, but he looks like he's on the soft compound of tyres. He's just pulling away from me quite easily, so I'll have to let him go. See how we get on with the guys behind. Already starting to come in pressure again for the guy back in third. Should be okay around this tight twisty section of the track just to save fuel and park it on the apex now and again. So could have been a much worse start, to be honest. As it stands, second place. Just going to bump it over this final tricky chicane, try and get a decent run out, because the start finish straight is where I'm going to suffer. Quite often you hear, drive your own race, don't worry about those people around you. That is pretty much the exact opposite in this instance. I'm going to have to try and block people off wherever I can, but you can see the fuel mix and the general overall pace of this car is going to cause me a big problem down the start finish straight. The guy in the Chevrolet just breezes past me into second, nothing I can do about it other than try and stick with him. So we are slipping backwards, but not the end of the world. Like I said, we're going to get a good 30-35 seconds in the pit, so I just need to stay in touch. I'm going to check behind. You can see Lee Cole there behind me now, and the guy in the Chevrolet goes a little bit wide there, so I'm going to try and get back into contention, maybe try and force him into a mistake. If I can get back past him, it'd be even better. And again, he outbrakes himself, goes very wide, and I'm just going to try and stick it down the inside here, but again, the acceleration and the power of the Alpha under these settings is not going to get me there. Oop, bit of a naughty punt there, got away with it. Don't want to be doing that, that won't help the tyres. That's giving people a run on me, and Lee is going to come down the inside here. I'm not going to interfere with that, I'm just going to let him go, but he's outbraked himself slightly, and the guy in front has to take evasive action. That allows me to slip back through. So all good from our perspective there. Back in second and third we go. It's working out pretty nicely at the minute. The guy at the front is getting away, but I've got the suspicion he's on the softer tyres, so I'm not too concerned about him at the moment. So through we go for the end of lap 2. Now I'm getting past again, multiple cars just streaming past me, and this is quickly going to become a theme, as you'll see. The guy on the Porsche behind is going to go for a late lunge down the inside. He's going to try and stick it, but he's not going to make it. We're just going to fast forward through this bit and just show you pretty much it's the same sort of theme. Cars just coming past me down the start finish straight. I'm managing to hold them off in other areas of the track, and then just trying to squeeze people, trying to battle as much as possible. It will hurt me more than hurt them more than it will hurt me, to be honest. But yeah, this is more or less how it continues for a while now. You just see cars gradually getting past, and every single time I will try to block them off, so people will be getting pretty unhappy with me at this point. Now I've got another Porsche, another Spaniard, trying to force his way down the outside, and he's just almost turning me there. That's not going to help me in the slightest. Naughty bit of driving there. So down to 8th now. So it's quickly going in the wrong direction, but still hanging in with the pack. So not ready to give up the ghost just yet. We skip ahead to the end of lap 6th. Then you can see I'm in 8th. Lee's dropped down to 7th. But this is where we see people. We see the guy in the lead there pitting off the medium tyres. And this is where you see the guy start to come into the pits. Cut the curb there, just picked up a bit of a penalty, which isn't going to help matters. It should be okay for a while at any rate. So we're 7 laps in now. You can see just over 60% fuel remaining, and that's, I'm frantically doing the maths in my head at this point. It's not quite enough yet. I need to save a little bit more. I've been battling a bit too hard, using a bit too much fuel. The tyres are in pretty good nick. Fuel, however, needs a bit more work. So you can see around this point over the next few laps, I'll probably start dropping that fuel mix a bit further towards lean, towards sort of 5 or even 6, just to try and eke out a bit more fuel. So coming up now, trying to get as good a run as possible out of here, just so we've got maximum speed to get ahead of the guy behind me while I try to serve the penalty. So it's a second penalty, I'm about a second and a half ahead, so my goal is to get to this next corner still in 6th place. It's not going to be easy though, it's not a great place to be serving a penalty, and here they come flying up on the outside and inside of the guy in the Porsche. He's going to absolutely bomb it down the inside. Lovely switchback move. Absolutely spot on if I say so myself. So we've survived. Not lost too much time to the guys ahead of us either. But you can see now, with all that going on, a big train of cars starting to form behind me, probably all the way down to 10th place. Got people ahead now going into the pits again, so we're making our way back up the grid as intended. Back onto the trickiest part of the track for me, down start, finish straight, watching for the guy behind. Here comes the Porsche again, he's going to give you them yet another go. Flies up on the inside. And we switch back on him again. You're not going to have it, mate. You're not going to have it. he's trying just a little bit too hard now, bumping the Mazda who's sat in behind me. So we're holding on, 4th place now. Still going, moving towards the halfway point of the race. This is lap 8, so we'd have to finish this lap and get halfway around the next lap before we're at the actual halfway point. And as you can see from looking at the fuel at the bottom of the screen, 54%. I'm not quite hanging on here. Still needs to be better, but coming under increasing pressure, it is difficult to save more fuel than I am doing. Nonetheless, we will press on. Here he comes again. You can see me looking behind me now. I know what he's going to do. He's going to come flying up. This time he's going to go down the outside and try and make his way round. And again, he's just absolutely sent it. It's not going well for our Spanish friend in the Porsche. You see now I'm locking to maximum efficiency for fuel. I've seen the issue, seen the problem. Only half tank of fuel left, still got 9 laps to go after this one. I'm going to have to pull an extra full lap out of this tank. So we come through to the end of lap 9. The Mazda Atenza is sitting behind me, other people starting to pit. We're going to skip ahead now to the end of lap 9, so similar position, and he's still there. And to be honest, this is probably where it should have twigged for me, but it didn't really. So he's sat in behind, he's not coming in to overtake me. I've gone defensive, thinking he's probably not going to try a silly move here. You know, of course, who is going to try a silly move. There he goes. He's just about managed to get it stopped this time, and this time he does just about make it stick. So 3rd time lucky for our Spanish friend. He goes through into 3rd, I'm back to 4th, and Mr. Hellracer still sitting behind me in 5th. So ahead we go again. We stayed like this for a little bit longer. On to lap 12, you can see everybody else ahead has now pitted, so I'm in the lead. Hellraiser behind me, still sticking to my rear bumper, and this is a bit late, admittedly. This is where it did click for me. He is on exactly the same strategy as me, so he's going to go the full race. I did think at this point, I do remember, I don't really race the Mazda, I do remember it's not too bad on fuel as well, so it's obviously possible to do that in that car. So the two of us have a healthy lead, and we're skipping ahead, lap 12, lap 13, lap 14. He's still there. At this point, I could have tried to let him past. I could have tried to hang on to him, maybe save a bit of fuel myself, but I just thought, I'm not going to bother at this point. I'm just going to stick to what I can do, and hopefully we can battle it out at the end. In addition to that, another reason I didn't want to start messing around is because we now have a problem, and the guy in third place, Babic, has made his stop, and he's already caught us up with 3 laps to go, and he's just gone storming past as fast as he can go, and he will head off into the distance. So there's going to be no maiden race win in the Manufacturer Championships for me today, unless he manages to completely cock it up. So end of lap 15 now, and this is where our friend Mr. Hellraiser turns on the taps. So he's been sitting behind me for a good 6 or 7 laps now, conserving his fuel, looking after his car, and now he's able to open the taps and just breeze past me. There's nothing I can do except try and hang on to the back of him and hopefully hope for a crack at him in the final couple of laps. So we will see if that's possible. In the slipstream now, of course, so it's going to be more beneficial for me. So it's not all over. Second place still in the offing. Just got to try and keep in touch. I'll have the brakes again. You can see the tyres are wearing significantly now. Not easy to drive. You can see the car squirming around the rear. It's just trying to kick out. Down deep into this corner. I've got a decent run through here, so hanging on. I can't get any more out of the car. I can't put the fuel meter back down, so I'm just going to have to try and go as fast as possible through the corner, and then that happens. Almost classic area with this track for binning it. I've done it before. In fact, I'm pretty certain it was what ended up costing me an FTR title at one point on this track, but second place is now gone as well, and now what I really have to worry about is the guys behind me with more fuel and better tyres are just a couple of seconds back with a lap and a half to go. So I'm going to have to try and do everything I can now to stay ahead of them. The lessons learned here, I probably should have settled for third and just not pushed so hard to stay up with the guy who just passed me. It probably would have been a reasonably comfortable podium. The guys in fourth and fifth were about 5 seconds back at that point, so I would have been able to hold them off. You can see now though, coming round the final bend, I've managed to sort the fuel situation out, got just over a lap left, got a lap to do. It's still not going to help me though, and they are going to come barrelling up down the start-finish straight one last time onto the final lap, lap 17. I'm going to go defensive early just to try and avoid being passed on the inside, but it's not going to help because I just haven't got the speed, and I'm down to fourth. Look who's behind, running wide, braking late again. It's our friend in the Porsche. How he's managed to get to this point of the race, despite the fact he's nearly been off about 5 or 6 times and still in fifth, I don't know. Perhaps says something for this strategy. I've not driven too badly, but I'm nowhere near the lead now, and everybody else just accelerating away from me, so maybe it was, in hindsight, just 1 or 2 laps too far for me. But we stuck to our guns. It should still be a decent result. We do have a couple of straight sections still to negotiate. Much better line through there this time. No repeat of the previous issue. But I'm in trouble here. We'll try and hang on, hope for the last of the late breakers to bin it again. I'm going to go full defensive on the inside. It's going to go down the outside again, pass me on the straight before we even get to the corner. And then he gets it stopped this time and manages to hold on. So we drop to fifth, and horror of horrors, Lee Cole is closing in fast behind. After all this and the discussion of the different strategies, Lee obviously did stop, I didn't. I don't want to lose out to him on the final corner, so I'm just going to take it nice and slow through there. Make sure we don't run over the curb and pick up a penalty, and accelerate out of the corner for the final time to finish in 5th place. So all in all, not too bad a result. Not the greatest, having qualified on pole, but the strategy probably says something for itself. If I'd managed to hold people up a bit longer, it probably would have worked out a bit better for me, and in all honesty, it should have been a podium, except for I bottled it. But there we go, 150 points in the bag for the championship. Not a bad start. You can see there, bit of a bump to the driver rating, and 13th overall in the Alfa Romeo ratings. My target is going to be top 10 for the season, so I will do my best and see if I can achieve that. Right, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, please give me a like, drop me a comment on any feedback, would be much appreciated. Okay, see you again next time.